Welcome to Hospitality on the Rise, the podcast about the people shaping the hospitality industry and their journeys. I'm your host, Alice Chang, founder and CEO of Culinary Agents, hospitality's go-to hiring platform. And I'm here to give you your dose of virtual mentorship. Here, we'll be sharing the stories, lessons learned, and advice from hospitality leaders who've carved out their own path to success. After all, this industry is where many get their start and go on to do incredible things. Whether you're a pro, starting out, or just love the hustle, this podcast highlights what makes hospitality extraordinary: the people. So excited to have Stephanie Castellucci here with us today. Stephanie is the co-owner and director of human resources at Castellucci Hospitality Group, family-owned and operated restaurants in the Southeast Atlanta area and Nashville, and potentially expanding. We'll hear about more of that. Strive to pursue and perfect dining experience, one guest at a time. I can attest to that. It includes restaurants, Cooks and Soldiers, Double Zero, Mujo, Sugo, the Iberian Pig, multiple locations. You might have heard of some of them. Thank you, Stephanie, for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited. We recently reconnected while we were at an event, Team Heidi down in Atlanta. And so I was immediately reminded of all the fun times I've had in your establishments over the years. But we are curious to understand, how did it all begin? Because I feel like restaurants and hospitality just was like runs through your blood, like literally.
Definitely, yeah. So, my brothers and I were actually the fifth generation of restaurateurs in our family. So we were fully immersed, grew up in the business. My parents had restaurants in Rhode Island prior to us moving to Atlanta. And all of our first childhood memories are in that restaurant, in Rhode Island. And then once we moved down here and, we were tall enough to hit the counter, we were, off to work and helping my parents with their restaurant that we started here over 20 years ago at this point.
Wow, wow. Fifth generation, no pressure at all. No pressure. I mean,
Yeah.
at that point, are you just like expected to do this for the rest of your life? Like, was there
Interestingly, no.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
great,
my
great. Let's
parents
talk about that.
really Yeah, my parents really gave us the opportunity to really do other things. And we all really, I think, realized throughout our childhood and, early adulthood that, we really had all a passion for hospitality and for restaurants and, couldn't see another career path forward outside of that.
Yeah, I feel like it I remember chatting with your brother, with Fred, and he was talking about his tech life, and then, of course, in the hospitality industry just, like, sucks you back
Yeah.
in. So take me back. So early on, part just by default, part probably because you enjoyed it, you started working in restaurants. What were some of the things that, at that time, were you like, "This is great, I want to, do this," or was it more like, "Oh, I have to,
I
go
think
work
it
in a
was
restaurant?"
it was definitely a little bit of both. I mean, there's a certain, expectation or really, at the time it was a need. Like we couldn't afford to bring on a huge staff. We couldn't afford managers and chefs and all of the things that, make restaurants run and run well. It was all really run by our family, and that initially very much came out of necessity. So I started off in the kitchen. I was a line cook, basically working every station, working my way through the stations. And my brother, my older brother, Fred, was also worked in the kitchen. And eventually, my youngest brother, John, who's 4 years younger, came into it as well. And so all of our first experiences were in the kitchen and prepping, working service, closing down dish pit, doing all of the things that were necessary to run a shift. And initially that was out of necessity, and of course, you're a kid, you're, you know, wanting to do other things like go to the movies with your friends, but, it never really felt begrudgingly, it just felt like it was what was needed to, help our family,
I
so.
have a sinking suspicion that it was a genius strategic move by your parents for being like, "Yeah, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Just get on the line and help out a little bit and learn all the stations and go to school for, hospitality, and then and select your career. So you did go to, call you went to Cornell for Hospitality School of Hotel, Administration.
I did, yeah. So I went to the hotel school. Was really it was either going to the hotel school or I wanted to essentially just go to the West Coast and be at a beautiful college somewhere there and be around good weather. But of course I
Palm
ended up
trees and
yeah.
low humidity and
Yeah, I ended up in upstate New York where it's, freezing and snowing in May, but it was, I loved my college experience. I did not take it for granted because I knew that once I graduated, it was just going to be working nonstop nonstop and, being a part of the restaurant, so I
and
had a
so
lot.
when you graduated, you just go back right back into it?
I did, yeah, we were at a really, really challenging point, with our family. We had, 2 locations of a restaurant, Sugo, and we had started to franchise that, and things were transparently, like, not going well, so, I graduated, I moved back home, I moved in with my parents, and, was essentially just ride sharing car like, with my dad to work every day and, go to the restaurant, and, I was the only manager there for, a while. So it was it was definitely one of those things where you know what you're signing up for, but I knew that, as soon as I got home, it was off to the races trying to figure things out and get back to a place of stability.
Yeah, and I would say, and I don't wanna fast forward because 'cause I'm sure there were a lot of different years and things that happened throughout all this time, but, you guys entered into a period of growth not too long ago. I would say pre-pandemic, was it? Started to expand a little bit more. Um, Curious how, you know, oftentimes we see, kind of situations where the business has been in the family and then, the next generation either takes it over or doesn't, right? And they need to rely on other folks that they've trusted and other leaders that they've brought up through the process. So when you were looking at, okay, this is going to be your thing. I mean, at some point you must have realized, where you all expected that you were going to stay, right?
They were
Did
at a certain point.
Were you like, okay, I have all these ideas. I want to do all these things. I want to expand, etc. Take me through some of that thinking and timing.
Yeah, for sure. Really, my brother Fred has always been the driving force behind our growth and like where we're going next, and what next lease are we signing, where are we going into, and I've always been the more like operations focused, HR focused. How do we get the people in place to be able to grow to be able to do those things, and so I think from a growth strategy, we're a family-owned restaurant group. We don't come from money. We don't have investors. They're from a financial piece. We've always really grown at a rate that's sustainable for us, and that allows us to grow and be able to remain the decision makers and not have to answer to
Yeah.
investors or
And
uh,
that's a big business decision in and of itself, in a lot of cases as well, like family or not. When you have a team of leaders and partners and you have something and you're looking at growth and expansion, there are different ways to do it. And some are, I mean, I wouldn't say there's any easy way to do it, but there's different ways to do it.
Yeah, and for us, it's really just been the long game. We've had Sugo, our restaurant in Johns Creek, for over 20 years, and the location that we opened after that was Iberian Pig on Decatur Square in 2009. And, from there, we were growing, one restaurant every few years. And, I think at the point we're at now, that's increased a little bit, but, we're definitely not our strategy is never to stamp out as much as possible, as quickly as possible. It's always just really about finding the right location, the right concept, and most importantly, the right team to be a part of that.
Yeah, and I think it was it natural the way you all kind of fell into your own, like, segments, if you will? Or
It was, yeah, I mean, I was definitely like a hack line cook. I could get the job done, but there was no finesse, and I honestly was I'm like the least organized on the line compared to my 2 brothers, and
John's like, "Step aside, I got this."
John's
Yeah.
like, "Please move out of the way so I can do my job." So John really focused on the culinary piece and, naturally stepped into that. He ended up going to the CIA, the Culinary Institute of America, and ended up taking on some really great externships outside of, working with us over, many, many years, but able to go out and do really unique things that really set us up for success. Like right before we opened Cooks and Soldiers, he was able to move to San Sebastian and Basque Country, which is, what Cooks and Soldiers is all about. And I was able to work at a really awesome, like Michelin star restaurant there and gain knowledge and do things that were really crucial to the operation for sure. So I think we all really naturally kind of fell into our own arenas. With Fred being more like he's like a little bit more risk forward than I am. Like, okay, let's assess what everything that's going on. And he's always been, more fearless in that way.
I love it. Sometimes, like, when I meet, like, family there were siblings that work together and it works out really well, I'm always reminded of, like, I love my brother, but I'm like, I don't think that would work. I don't think I could do like, work
A
with
lot of
but
people say that to me. They like
yeah.
talk about their own family dynamics and why that maybe
Yeah.
not, the right path for them.
Yeah, so when I see it all like, when I see it in harmony, it's, I'm sure there are tough days and then there are really wonderful days, but, it's always nice to see the pieces fit together. So focusing back on you, um, how do you like, over the years now, you've always been doing operations and people, and I feel like I may be mistaken, but you can correct me. Like, I wanna say either, handful of years or it gets cloudy with the pandemic. You stepped into more of like a director of HR, like, you really took over in a more, like, deliberate way because you were doing it anyway, as your company was growing, into doing more of that. So, when you look at, like, leadership and growing people, since the 3 of you are, at the top, if you will, what do you look for as you're looking at, how you grow people in the different, concepts that you have?
Definitely. Yeah. I think, from every single position in the restaurant, we look for the same qualities and then looking for people that, want to grow with us and really have those unique characteristics. And I think it all starts with like having like a level of sincere hospitality and passion for what you do. And I think there are so many things that you can teach someone, but it's hard to tell somebody to be a certain way. It's like there are some, innate characteristics that individuals have that, for our company specifically, allow them to, foster that and be able to grow. So, I think that, grit is really important, and I think that's important for anybody that works in restaurants. But for us, it's really, having like-minded individuals that are really focused on the guest experience and the staff experience, really investing in those relationships and really thinking about it in the long game of, how can I invest into my team, invest into our guests to allow for that growth. And from a leadership perspective, we really look for, team members that are wanting to mentor and grow other people and coach so that they can help move them up. And that doesn't necessarily always mean like move up within our restaurant or restaurant group. It might be, helping them get to, other promotions in their career that aren't related to restaurants at all. I think, a lot of the things that you learn in restaurants is very applicable to like every single aspect
Absolutely.
of your life and other
Yeah.
that you take on, and so I think thinking about it in that light, it's, everyone talks about how restaurants are such a, transient thing and there's always people coming and going, and sure, that's true, and, there are a lot of people that are in it for the long run and want to be in restaurants for a long period of time, but, there are, we have servers of ours that are with us, and we know they're gonna be with us for a year, they're going through school, but, providing them everything that we can give them to be able to help be successful in other aspects of their life is equally as important mentoring, growing individuals that you feel like are gonna grow within.
Yeah, and that's one of the many, wonderful things, quite frankly, about this industry where and over the years and something that we really push at Culinary Agents is, this is a profession, it's a noble profession. It's not for everyone, but one of the beautiful things is the skills and the networks and the people that you meet here, and you can take that with you, whether it's a career into, further into hospitality or into an adjacent part of the industry or out of the industry, right? And I think the more that people understand that, the more that they take their time here. I shouldn't say more seriously, but differently. They approach it differently, and we're seeing that across the board. And I love that for the industry, and I love that for how you approach leadership and how you support your team as well. Um, how do you continue to stay inspired? I mean, John got to go, play in San Sebastian. How
Yeah. I mean, there's always, like, long stretches of just, like, kinda put your head down and get done what you need to get done, and that's always been kinda, like, within our family, that's always just been an understanding. It's like there are these pockets of time where it's like you're just in it, and you're there, and you just need to do at all costs whatever's necessary to, like, move the ship forward, and then you kinda find those pockets of time to be able to gain inspiration and do other things. I think for me, dining out at other restaurants is, where I get the most kind of like refreshment and inspiration through, travel or just, dining out and nearby cities or even restaurants within Atlanta as well. So I think that, most of my inspiration either comes from talking to people that are in hospitality or hospitality adjacent, or, gaining inspiration from dining experiences and in that route.
Yeah, it's great to obviously a lot of people who are in the industry, I would even argue most, um, love it. Even outside of work. They grind and they work and they work and you would think that you just don't want to you just want to go home and sit in a quiet room and stare at a wall. But then,
Yeah,
the joys of what keeps people inspired is going out to other places and,
definitely.
meeting other people in the industry and enjoying, food and wine with them. So that's that's, um that's great. That's how I stay inspired too. I'm like, I just go check out more places and meet more people in the industry.
Yeah.
Um, and so, I would say Mujo is that still kind of the newer concept, as a group? That was right after that's like 2022. That's kind of like oh, no. When did Mujo open? In
Yeah.
the Yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely I can talk through the timeline there.
Yeah.
So, Mujo actually started off as a pop-up out of our,
Yes, I
restaurant,
remember.
Cooks and Soldiers. So, during COVID, our chef, Jordan, he was living in New York, came down what at then was a temporary arrangement where, we were going to operate this pop-up out of our Pincho counter at Cooks and Soldiers and execute, really high-end takeout sushi, and this was like the peak of the pandemic, essentially. And there was a space that became available right next to us at Cooks and Soldiers. That was really the exact size and scope we were really looking for. So we are able to take over that location and open that brick and mortar in 2022 with our chef partner who really drove the bus from a creativity and otherwise perspective with my brother Fred. And that was really both of their passion projects. And it's been so great, honestly, because, it's good to be comfortably uncomfortable and doing things that, you didn't think that initially would be in your scope. And it's been really energizing to, um, you know, be around different people that really execute at a high level for something completely different than we've done in the past. So.
Yeah, and it gained fanfare rather quickly, right away, and then in 2023, got the first actually, that was the first year that Michelin was in Atlanta, and it got
Yeah,
a
it was
star.
definitely yeah, it was so awesome, and we were, just really glad that the Michelin Guide came to Atlanta, and recognizing Atlanta as a food city, was really, I think, a win for the city as a whole for sure.
Yeah, I think, people often have I shouldn't say love-hate relationships with, awards or awarding distinctions and stuff like that. But I think what we're seeing from Michelin and as they continue to expand, because they just announced a bunch more cities, is that they're really kind of shining the spotlight in a little bit of a different way to these cities.
Mhm.
And not just from the guest perspective, but also from people who want to learn and grow and work in other areas. Right.
Absolutely.
So that's been really cool to see from our side as well.
I know
Um,
it's funny that you say that because that was the one thing, when I heard that the Michelin Guide was coming to Atlanta, and probably similarly to you and what you were thinking was, I hope that this just brings more talent, to our city, and, I was thought about it mainly from an HR perspective of like, hopefully this will gain traction for, people from other parts of the country and world that wanna come to Atlanta and, work here.
Absolutely. I mean, you gotta keep that HR hat and the people culture hat on, and I think, we've been nationwide at Culinary Agents, as you know, and we've always tracked kind of some migration patterns, and we talk to people, and, there is something to be said about putting on your resume, having worked at a Michelin-starred establishment or Michelin recognized, or, really Chateau, any of these kind of distinctions, largely because, it's more people can associate or are familiar with it, so that kinda gives you a little bit of a, um, you know, clout, if you will, or kinda gives people the perception of, "Okay, well, this person had a certain level of training," or whatever, "This type of experience, they can probably do this, that, and the other." And it's a little more difficult if, you're not as familiar with the establishments, and there's so many different restaurants and this, that, and the other. It's really a great thing to see. Also to continue that kind of professionalism and that growth and giving people more options and flexibility, to kind of continue to, um, down their career path, if you will.
Definitely, yeah, and it's honestly happened even internally within our restaurant group. We've had, servers that have been, promoted to Mujo and being able to kind of take that next step in their career and, work in that, like, true fine dining environment. All of our restaurants are finer dining, but in that true fine dining atmosphere, has also been really great and able to, like, allow for us to have people grow from within.
Yeah, yeah, and we're the only site where you can actually search for jobs based upon Michelin stars. Now anyway, I had to put that plug in there. So, what's next?
Yeah, yeah, so, we after Mujo opened, we opened Iberian Pig in Nashville, which has been going, really, really great, in no small part to the team that we were able to cultivate there, so, we were able to, promote our, GM, Kara to Iberian Pig Nashville. She's been with us for almost 10 years, and, Tony Pell, he was moved over as our chef de cuisine, I was now our executive chef, and then we also had, dining room managers and sous chefs that we're able to bring with us and promote. One of our, sous chefs, Dre, that moved up there, he actually started off with us as a dishwasher and moved his way up, and that was
Wow.
first big, like, out-of-state move, and,
That's
Latoya, so we were able to really kind of cultivate, an all-star team to hope open that restaurant, and it's been, really, really great. I mean, Nashville as a city is awesome. It's a really fun city. It's also, brings a large amount of tourism and,
Mhm. The
it's just
stars are going there too.
yeah, and it's just been such a fun, fun restaurant and, just a really great endeavor so far. So our next move, we're opening an Iberian Pig in Charlotte, which we're really excited about. So we just signed a lease on that and are in the design and, construction phase of that, from the bidding process on the construction side, but, have a really great designer, that's worked with us before. So, we're yeah, that piece of it, that's really the next thing on the horizon, and then we have a, restaurant that we're opening, here in Atlanta, in Buckhead, really close to Iberian Pig in Buckhead at 99 West Paces, which will be another partnership with our chef, Jay Trent from Mujo will be really, overseeing this next big project that we're doing at 99 Paces, which will also be a sister restaurant to Mujo in that fine dining spectrum, but really more centered around
Wow.
fire Japanese steak. So, yeah, so we have a lot going on.
Yeah.
But again, kind of growing in that way that's sustainable for us.
Yeah, and I love that you're bringing people in from your team as whether they're partners or they're just folks that you're offering another opportunity. Oftentimes, people are like, don't not that that's the only reason to grow, but that's talent retention definitely is something that is a benefit. When you are looking to grow and when you're these two Iberian pigs, they're the first ones that you and your brothers are opening outside of Atlanta, correct?
Exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
so, Nashville was our first out-of-state restaurant, ever. So Iberian Pig in Nashville, that opened in
What was the
2023.
hardest part of that?
That's a great question. I think the hardest part for me personally was the recruiting piece of it prior to our opening, and figuring out the channels and avenues in which we were going to be able to, get talent and, figure that part out, I think was one of the most challenging pieces. And, Nashville, a couple hours away, it's like we don't know if anybody in Nashville even knows who we are. So it's like, how do we find people that wanna come work for us that, prior to maybe a job ad posting, they had no idea, who we were, what we
Yeah.
were doing. And, so I think the recruiting piece of that, was the most, I guess, frightening for me, but ended up working out really well. And, we had a really, really incredible opening team, and a lot of those opening team members are still with us, so.
Great, great. Well, I'm excited. I'm long overdue to make it out to Nashville, but and I already told I have a cousin and cousins in Charlotte. I already sent them Fred's little sneak peek reel
Oh,
on
nice.
Instagram. I'm like, they're coming. So they're all really excited. That seems to be like a food hub that's like emerging in Charlotte. Um, but on that note, I think we're going to quick fire.
Okay, sounds good.
What advice would you tell your younger self?
Keep the main thing, focus on, what's in front of you and what's most important, and, not get distracted by a million other things.
What's your advice for someone struggling in the industry?
Yeah, I think just evaluating what's really important to you, both inside and outside of work, and, um, really noting that, writing it down, and figuring out the best path forward, if, that's to stay in or get out or make a move. It's, really kind of putting pen to paper and thought to, what is at the core most important to you.
What's your advice for fellow hospitality leaders?
I'd say the biggest thing is just continuing to pour into your people. And I think I get the most reward and gratitude and for, I feel like my greatest happiness comes from my relationships and investing in those relationships. And I think that, goes for inside and outside of work. And I think just focusing on that, is probably one of the most important things that you can do just in your life.
Well, Stephanie, thank you so much for taking some time to share about your career path and advice and sharing some of your exciting growth plans you have for your group. And can't wait to see more.
Yeah, definitely. Looking forward to it.
Remember, success looks different for everyone in hospitality. No two paths are the same. If you have a leader or a topic you want to hear about, email media@culinaryaagents.com. Hospitality on the Rise is brought to you by Culinary Agents, connecting top talent with employers since 2012. Whether you're hiring or looking for your next opportunity, join us at culinaryagents.com. For more inspiration, subscribe to Hospitality on the Rise and visit hospitalitycareerpaths.com, a free platform by Culinary Agents. Thanks for tuning in. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. And if you loved this episode, share it with someone who could use a little inspiration.